Well, guess what, Jerome? We already have pain. The pain has already started, and we are already in a recession. Thank you from wherever you are in the world for joining me here in the basement. Let's talk about the economy. Let's do an update because the general economy, the general world economic conditions will impact the price of silver and gold and the mining stocks. And there's some very interesting things we need to look at because maybe the economy's not doing so great. Maybe it's even downright scary. We got some key factors to look at, some interesting stories. Let's talk about it right now. You are always welcome to join me in Ron's Basement. You're actually the most important part of Ron's Basement. I honor and consider it a privilege to have you here. You're always welcome. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. You can share this video with anyone you like. Turn on that little bell notification. And number one, leave a comment in the comment section below. We want to hear from you. Yes, you. Despite what the United States Federal Reserve tells us and our own government, our very own Joe Biden, I think things are getting really scary out there for a lot of people in a lot of places. Just look at real estate. I could bore you for hours talking about a number of data points that point toward a looming, worsening crisis in real estate. Whether it's new home starts, existing sales, the number of people who signed contracts and then backed out, anywhere you look in the real estate sector in the United States, it is getting very, very scary. This has been driven by higher mortgage rates. There's no other way to describe it or explain it than that. Now, when you go around the world, look at China. Again, we could go on for hours. There is a Ponzi pyramid crash scenario going on in China. I made another video about that you can watch if you go to my channel, but China is 10 times worse than the United States. Did you know, this was very interesting to me, did you know that in China, in the past 4 or 5 years, oftentimes people would take out loans equal to 20 times their annual salary to buy a house? Housing prices had gotten to the point where they were 20 times what an average person made, and people would take out mortgages for those amounts. That is crazy. That's like if you are making $100K, your family here in the United States, that you would buy a house for $2 million. I'd call that a bubble. Stifel Nicolaus, that prestigious investment firm based in St. Louis, Missouri, nonetheless, they did a survey of business executives and found out that 97% of the executives thought we were either in a recession or heading toward a recession. I wonder where the other 3% were. I was thinking those guys had probably been off in rehab or something. I don't know. But things don't look rosy according to the top executives in the economy. But employment is great. Look at these employment numbers. Joe Biden is so proud of the employment numbers, the low unemployment rate. Well, sure, maybe they do look good if we believe them, number one. Number two, if we're happy about people having to take second and third jobs just to put food in their stomach and fuel in their car. And remember, employment is a severely lagging indicator. That means that if we are in a recession, that's not going to show up in the employment numbers for 3 to 6 months later. It's not an immediate type statistic that shows the recession that we almost definitely are in right now. Small businesses are struggling throughout the United States. I've listened to several interviews with several small business owners saying that they are having a hard time getting customers into their little stores, getting sales numbers to a point where they can afford to pay their rent. It's a statistic that's out earlier in the week. 40% of small business owners are saying they're having a hard time paying their rent. 40%. Remember, that's the heartbeat of America. That's our core, the small business owner, and they are struggling. There was even a report that Disney World is having low attendance. Now, that's up for debate as to the reason behind that, but nonetheless, when Disney World appears to be sparse crowds, that's not a good sign for the economy. And it's not looking good in the households either. 1 in 6 families cannot pay their utility bills. Now, think about this, right? Your utility bill is like one of your base things. It probably comes right after food and transportation. When people are getting to the point that they're not going to pay their utility bills, you know American families are struggling. And as a matter of fact, we had several reports this week that said demand at food banks is at all-time highs. More people are relying on handout food banks just to feed their families than any other time in U.S. history. And that makes sense to us when we consider the fact that consumer credit levels are also at all-time highs and growing. People were using their credit cards to feed themselves, to put fuel in their vehicles. That is coming to an end. The credit lines only go so far. So the next step is to do things like head to food banks to get your food because there's nowhere else that the money is coming from. Things are potentially going to reach a dire level in the United States. But when we shift our focus overseas to Europe, it's not much better. They have an energy crisis like we've never seen before. People are posting pictures of their electric bills online that are like 2, 3, 4, 500% higher than they were last year. Inflation is raging out of control in Europe. As a matter of fact, Goldman Sachs predicted that in 2022, in the United Kingdom, inflation will likely hit above 20%. There's plenty more we could talk about, but I think that pretty well sums it up. And if I go on any longer thinking about these negative factors, I may never get out of the basement. But what it shows to us is that despite what the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell and all his governors are out there saying that the economy is okay, there might be some pain. Well, guess what, Jerome? We already have pain. The pain has already started, and we are already in a recession. So while you're out there pounding your chest with your bravado about how you're going to tighten monetary conditions, the reality behind the scenes is that people are already suffering in the United States and in Europe, all throughout the world. And on top of that, you're not helping the price of silver and gold, right? We know that this bravado coming out of the Fed and the we're going to fight hawkish blah, 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 makes the dollar go up, makes interest rates go up, makes gold and silver go down. Well, they're only going to be able to keep it up for so long. And when they have to reverse course, when they have to move back, when the pendulum swings back the other way, that will spell good times for the price of gold and the price of silver. If it doesn't happen sooner, because we are in a recession and we have inflation, we have a situation called stagflation, which is very fertile ground for the price of gold and silver. We know that, right? The people that were here in the basement, right? You know, I hate to tell you this, guys, but we're early, okay? And it's a fact. Like it or not, the people that watch my videos, I am convinced, and the statistics show me that you are smarter than the average bear. Sometimes that hurts us because we're early and we're having some pain right now. If things play out like we think they will, we will have pain turn into gain. But in the interim, it is painful. So hang in there. I'll be with you through this all here in the basement. You know you're always welcome. If you want to suffer through another video, you can do that right here. If you want to subscribe, you can do that right here. Most important, until next time, you, yes, you, be well.